So we've talked, the big issue of how you take a state policy like the roadmap in an era that's not about mandates and monitoring as the only way to make things happen. How do you make it real? We've talked about bringing it into your LCAPs, using it in that form of strategic planning. We've talked about using things like this rubric for that kind of deeper meaning, looking and reflecting on practice to think about continuous improvement and various ways to do it. We want to turn attention now to kind of the formal aspects of local policy and how to bring that in alignment to the roadmap and what it looks like. So from the actual roadmap document, the policy passed by the state board, it reads, all California stakeholders must own this vision and mission, respond to this call of action, and these are the key words, interpret and apply the content of the guidance document within their respective roles in order to improve educational opportunities for the state's EL students. So obviously people are in different roles, and what it means to a classroom teacher is different from what it means to a school board member in terms of what I have to do, what we have to do to really enact this policy. So if you think about it, for teachers it's so much about improving pedagogy and curriculum and relationships and creating the community for their English learner students. We left on your table a paper that was written by Alison Briseno, an article about what does the roadmap mean for teachers. So that's just a resource for you as you're thinking about it. Site and district administrators, it may be something like, and instructional coaches as you were talking, it might be something like the rubric that is the best tool to move you forward. School boards and district leaders, we did provide for you in the binder a couple of documents I want to call your attention to. California School Boards Association has produced a governance brief for all school board members. It's in your binder about basically what the roadmap means for school board members. It's followed in your binder with a model sample local policy that local school boards can pass to bring themselves in alignment with Prop 58 and with the English Learner Roadmap. And we also just handed out to you, hot off the presses this weekend, the early childhood education community became very interested because obviously the roadmap speaks to alignment from preschool up through. It speaks to the importance of that early foundation. And so a group of people within the early childhood field put together a publication on what does the roadmap really mean for early childhood? How would we look at it? How do we make meaning of it for our programs, et cetera? They are looking for feedback and to generate a real statewide conversation about this. So you'll note at the back of it, it has the information from the Advancement Project if you are interested in that. So one of the wonderful things about the way this roadmap is rolling out is people really are making it their own. That's what will give it life, and that's what we were really most hoping. We wanted to give you an example of one district that has really taken it from a policy point of view and made it their own, built it into something with great meaning for them through their English Learner Master Plan. So in addition to just local policies and resolutions, in addition to this continuous improvement, you might want to look at your English Learner Master Plan. And I'm delighted to introduce to you two educational leaders, Rafael Escamilla and Lydia Acosta-Stevens from LA Unified School District.
Hi, everyone. If you can't tell, I'm Lydia Acosta-Stevens, and that's Rafael. Thank you for having us. We were very excited to have, and I say excited because, you know, you have to look at everything from a particular lens, to have the opportunity to reimagine our master plan. The last time we had engaged in looking at our master plan was in 2012. And as you know, since then, many, many shifts have come into place. So the timing was ideal that last year I was asked by our executive director, who is no longer with us but still in LA, Hilda Maldonado, to take on and lead this project of rewriting our master plan policy for English learners and standard English learners. And one of the key things that came together for us, and the timing was just perfect, is the adoption of the EL roadmap by the state. And I'm just going to show you what the end product was because we're very proud of it. This is actually our master plan, and snuck inside because this is the foundation of our guiding principles. We went into 3 phases in writing this document. As you can imagine, the size of our district is massive. But we chose to look at 3 phases. One was developing a team and also getting and connecting with an outside partner, an outside thought partner, because we wanted to make sure we thought about this piece of work together. So we contracted and worked with the Center for Applied Linguistics to look at the EL roadmap, to look at our policy documents and the systems that we have in place. That involved continual conversations on a weekly basis. And you know how crazy it is to schedule a meeting. So we literally were on the phones with the Washington, D.C. group twice a week, 3 hours each session, pulling in different people, our administrators of instruction, pulling in our parent group, pulling in different leaders to engage in all these conversations as we began phase 1. That was just the planning piece. When we went into phase 2, which was getting input and feedback, one of the first things we decided to do is take it out to the field. So we have 6 local districts, and we went out and asked all our local districts to set up, we spent 1 to 2 days per local district gathering teams of parents, students, teachers, elementary, secondary, district administrators, and principals to get their understanding of what worked in the master plan. What do you know about the master plan, right? We've had this 2012 document. What's your interpretation of it? And where would you like us to go with it? Percolated a lot of interesting things that we were like, oh, we've been on target, we're moving in the right direction. Oh, we thought we were moving in the right direction, but the field says we've been off. After we gathered all that information, we started meeting with our ad hoc groups, which also involved all of these different groups. It was very intentional for us that we include families and students, because for us, the guiding principle connected to the EL roadmap is assets-based. And where does that come from? The families, the communities, and our kids, the connection. And we often thought, and one of the things I continually advocated is, we continually do things to people like, here, this is for you, this is what we're telling you, but we wanted them involved in the process for kids to really say, well, I've been in that EL class and this is what it's really like for me. And this is why I do or do not have access to A through G. And what is it like for a parent to fill out the home language survey? And do we have welcoming environments in our schools to truly look at our families and our students from that lens? We completed phase 2, which resulted in this beautiful document, but this document could easily sit on a shelf, as many beautiful documents can. So we decided to be even more intentional and more strategic. We work with our bargaining partners, and one of the things in terms of our district is there are 4 mandated professional development courses that as an entire district we can guarantee that every teacher gets. So we advocated for our master plan to be one of those mandated courses. 45, 50-minute course, but this would guarantee that every teacher would get this by September 28th. And then we said, okay, what should it be? We received a lot of feedback. Oh, let's give everybody the overall, here's this chapter and this chapter and this chapter. But one of the things we connected back to is we have to address the mindset and the belief system back to Principle 1, EL roadmap, assets-based, and our guiding principles in our master plan. So our first module that all our teachers will receive, all our principals will receive, and we will actually be tweaking it to ensure our families also receive it. And we actually have some student leaders who are part of this writing process who are creating their own presentations at their school sites. which is, that just percolated from what we were doing with all our sessions. So we're really excited that that's going to be an assets-based module. It will be on our website and available when you want to take a look at it. Critique us softly as we work through the several evolutions of approval. But we're really excited about this work because the foundation of this plan for us wasn't about a checkoff list, but can people touch their hearts when they think about our kids? Is it here? Do they see the light that they bring with their language and their culture and their community? The multiple languages that we have. So if we can do that in the next few months, I feel like we've made a huge shift in the system and we're aligned with what the state has provided for us with the EL roadmap. It lays a foundation for the future decisions. I'm now going to hand off to Rafael.
Thank you, Lydia. That was a great foundation to the work. Note that as we began phase 2 of our master plan writing process, we needed to identify what those guiding principles that was going to guide the development of our district policy for English learners. And of course, we just happen to have at our site our English learner roadmap. And so that document, along with a lot of stakeholder input, guided in establishing these 6 guiding principles for the development, as well as is going to guide the implementation of our EL policy in LAUSD, which we call the 2018 Master Plan for English Learners and Standard English Learners. Now, within your handouts after the PowerPoint, you have the executive summary of our master plan. It says draft on it, but it's basically the final copy. I invite you to delve into the guiding principles. You could see these 6 guiding principles delineated there, and you could see the true alignment that exists with the EL roadmap. And of course, as we develop the document, our main goals in LAUSD is to make sure that we are graduating students that have achieved social competence and also achieve that seal of literacy at the end, through our instructional programs. I just want to share that this last academic year, we have approximately over 3,700 students in LAUSD achieve the California Seal of Literacy. That number keeps growing every year. We're very intentional on the work that we do. And as Lydia mentions, there was a lot of changes taking place at the district level, at the state level, and at the federal level that actually serve as the impetus for us revising our district policy for English learners and standard English learners. As you could see, you probably saw a similar timeline this morning. As you could see, we wrote our master plan around 2012. That's when we wrote it and adopted it. But as soon as we have written it, a lot of changes started taking place at the state levels. We have the adoption of our California ELD standards. We had the adoption of our Common Core as well as our district implementation that had tremendous implication in the way we provide services for our English learners. Thereafter, we had the passage of Proposition 58 in 2016 that expanded the opportunities for English learners to participate in bilingual programs, dual language programs, and of course, 2017, which was just right for us, the passage of the EL roadmap, the time when we began to engage in revising our policy for English learners. But how the changes were taking place within our district that actually serve to strengthen our district policy. The LAUSD board was passing, given all the changes that were taking place at the state level, were passing resolutions that had implication to the expansion of our programs to serve all students. And that is expansion of dual language programs and bilingual programs in LAUSD. And also passing resolutions that made a commitment to actually develop a pipeline to develop the capacity of teachers to provide instruction in these programs, as well as making a strong commitment in their vision to bilingualism and biliteracy. And now, before I step off the floor, I would like to conclude by showing you a video. Gina, could you help me with this? Showing you a video that actually describes the essence of what we went through as we revised our policy for English learners, as well as you will get to hear from our stakeholder groups of what they think of our new policy.
Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer.
A mí me gustaría que la gente supiera que este master plan está hecho y diseñado para darle la oportunidad a los estudiantes de ser bilingües, de tener 2 o más idiomas y poderlos desarrollar, que tengan un nivel académico exitoso.
I want everybody to know that this is their opportunity to be involved. For the first time in quite a while, LAUSD has done a great job in regards to integrating English learners and standard English learners. That's applicable to all of us.
El nuevo Master Plan es una gran oportunidad para todos los papás, estudiantes, maestros y personas que trabajan en las escuelas para crear una mejor comunidad, no solo para los hablantes de español.
Everyone is behind the idea that we use the assets-based model, so we bring in the resources from the families and make sure that we provide the support so they don't lose their mother tongue.
The district believes that the best program for English language learners is a dual language program.
Because we know that English learners are gifted and talented, and this is an opportunity to acknowledge that in the master plan.
It addresses the instructional, social, and emotional needs of our English learners and students.
Provide increased access for our students who are identified ELs and SELs with disabilities, receive the appropriate resources and services that they need.
That these programs that are in the master plan are for all of our students, both English learners and children who already speak English. That it's not any kind of remedial plan, it's an enrichment plan, it's a progressive plan.
Master plan is a great opportunity to let our teachers, school staff, know how to support English learners.
Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
It is so awesome to see what LA Unified has pulled off, and to recognize how this enormous district, I know all of the rest of us look at them and say, how do they do it? We're a small district, we're a medium-sized, but they have so many, and it's stunning work. Thank you. For the rest of us, we have that shining example of a strategy, though, that is applicable to all of us. And that way in which they took, let's begin with assets-based education. Let's begin with that first principle. Let's enter into our conversations about an English Learner Master Plan through that lens and see where it takes us, is something that all of us can do. And it's one of the reasons why the Roadmap Work Group was so insistent that Principle 1 be Principle 1. So for any of us working with our boards and with our districts, when we think about how do we bring our policy into alignment, again, you have the board resolutions, and you might want to think about some sample resolutions about what it might look like and whether that's the place to start. You have your English Learner Master Plan. Maybe it's time to dust that off and to do some revision and to take a very different approach to how you're entering into those conversations. We want to give you some time to actually talk at your tables about what you might do from the point of view of policy, and really think right now, are our policies kind of in alignment with this roadmap vision? And by policy, it may be your vision statement and your mission statements. It might be more, some more specific policies, like about the development of dual language programs. It might be your English Learner Master Plans. But where are you right now? How far out of alignment do you feel like you are? Where is the next step? What's the work to do to move your policy forward? So we're going to give you about 5 minutes at your tables to talk about that.